Howdy, this is Liz from Eating Required, and today we're going to take a look at the sausage tortellini soup recipe from All Wings Everything. We're going to price out the ingredients and give you some tips and tricks to save you some money and make this recipe work best for you. The link to the All Wings Everything video and the original recipe are in the description below. Here are the key ingredients in the recipe. The prices listed are from my nearest grocery store and are current as of January 11th, 2024. First up is Italian sausage, and I have to confess that this is not a brand or store brand that I have ever tried. Usually I pay more for Italian sausage, and I'm going to have to check this brand out, but it's $2.99 a pound. The frozen tortellini is the generic store brand. Same with the whipping cream. The broth, I use the Knorr dry broth mix that I like. Kale, I did use fresh. And small onion, just the price of one onion, the price of one head of garlic. And I did not cost out the flour or the seasonings. Not anything unusual, and most people are probably going to have these things in their cupboard. The exception might be the ground mustard. And let me say, if you are not using ground mustard, there is nothing better to perk up your macaroni and cheese than just a smidge of ground mustard. And I don't know why that is, but it adds just a little bit of zang to it. So I would suggest if you don't have any in your cupboard, go out and get some. This recipe looks great and it will cook up as is with the generic and off-brand ingredients for $13.35. Um, Fabulous price, okay? But couple of things. You can save money when you double it, which is the double column. I just doubled the meat. The package of tortellini that I costed for this comes in a 19-ounce package. So if you only made a single recipe, you'd have some left. Or you can use the same package when you double it. It's a little shy. It'll be 9.5 ounces as opposed to 10, but that's not really a problem because as I look at this recipe, I think this is going to make about 10, 10 and a half, 11 cups of soup. So you're looking at something like 4 servings of soup at 2 cups each. When you break down a pound of meat into 4 servings, that's 4 ounces. It's a quarter pound of Italian sausage in each bowl of soup. That's kind of heavy to me. If I want a soup, I don't want it to have the same quantity of meat that a hamburger has, the big quarter pounder hamburger, plus tortellini. So, you can have some savings there. But you also, in doubling the recipe, can buy a larger container of whipping cream, which saves you some money. The chicken broth goes from 10 to 20 cents. Another bundle of fresh kale, an onion, and garlic, just straight double that. That comes out to $20.28, which per recipe gets it down to $10.14. However, I would go even further and quadruple this recipe. And I would do that only by doubling the meat instead of going 4 times the meat, so that you're down to an eighth of a pound of meat per serving. And then if you do that, you can get a 64-ounce package of frozen tortellini, which divided by 4 will get you to 16 ounces, which is on the high end, but you've cut back the Italian sausage a little bit. So that makes up for it and saves you some money there as well. You buy 2 of the large containers of whipping cream. The broth goes to 40 cents. I figured fresh kale for this, but you could use frozen if you wanted. You might be able to get a better price on a giant bag of frozen kale, but I continued to use fresh for this. Instead of buying 4 onions individually, I put in the cost of a 3-pound bag of onions, which is $2.29 for me this week. And instead of 4 garlic heads, I think you can get 5 to 6 cloves out of 3 for each of these recipes. That brings the total cost to $32.29 or $8 per batch of soup, which will be 4 batches. Now, can you freeze this? all pre-made, I probably wouldn't. This soup has some flour in it and it has cream. And when you get a thickened cream sauce soup, it tends to break in the freezer, which means that it'll come out with little clumps in it and it's hard to get back. So probably what I would do is I would cook up all of the sausage and onions at one time. And before you go on and make your first batch of soup by putting the flour in there, I would pull out 3/4 of the sausage and onions, put them into 3 separate bags for 3 different batches of soup, and throw those in the freezer. And then continue on with 1/4 of the meat, throw in your flour, throw in your cream, just proceed to make the soup for that single batch. But on those 3 other days, when you want that soup, you take the sausage and onions out of the freezer, you throw it into the pot, you heat it up, you throw in the flour, and you proceed from there. Whipping cream has a long expiration life, so you can buy your cream for a couple of consecutive weeks or a couple of weeks not too far apart. It's very easy to find cream generally with a 2 month expiration date on it. So you might even, if you're planning on having 4 batches of soup over 2 months, be able to use the same original purchase of whipping cream and not have to go back and buy it. But if you are using fresh kale, you'll want to go back and do that. All right, I'm really excited about this soup. I hope that you give it a try. I hope you can get your costs down in the $8 a recipe batch. Thanks so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. Take care.